Welcome to the UEFA Champions League Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the west coast of the U.S., Josh Lander, joined by my mate across the pond, Dan Tracy, from the World Cup videos. Dan, how are you today, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Looking forward to more Champions League football. We've just done one episode regarding Valentine's Day, so hopefully your relationships are still intact so you can watch some football on Wednesday as well.
Absolutely, or hopefully your partner will be watching it with you.
Yes.
In this video, we are going to be talking about the 15th of February and the two-game slate that we have in the Champions League that day. The first leg of Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund, and then we've got Benfica in Belgium taking on Brugge as well. So we'll be taking a look at both of those. We also have the 14th day, February the 14th, those two matches as well. Slightly juicier matches with some at least bigger names, but plenty of money to be made on this day as well. Just like and subscribe if you want to continue to follow along with us. We're bringing you each and every Champions League game for the rest of this knockout stage. Dan will have all of his great content on thelines.com as well, so make sure you head over there and check everything out that we're talking about on thelines.com. Dan, let's go ahead and jump into our first match here. Chelsea is in Germany taking on BVB, if you will. The odds on this one right now for Borussia is plus 145 for them to win in regulation. Chelsea's plus 190 to win in regulation. And then just interesting on the total goals here. 2.5 over is minus 120. Under 2.5 is minus 105. And I just bring that up because it interests me in terms of the total because, I think Borussia Dortmund has done a great job of scoring. Chelsea's been pretty good on defense and dreadful in terms of being able to put the ball in the back of the net. So it does intrigue me there. But start with your first bet and what you're looking at in this game for me.
So I'm actually going to take the tie in this one at plus 235. That's what I've got it at with DraftKings. I just feel that Chelsea have been hard to beat lately, but they've got absolutely no attacking edge at the moment. And I feel that because of the way they are performing in the Premier League, again, this is kind of all or nothing for Chelsea in the sense that not only is this their last chance for silverware this season, but it could be Champions League or bust for manager Graham Potter. It's unlikely Chelsea are going to finish in the top four, which would provide Champions League football next season guaranteed. So they may have to go and win the Champions League to get back to Europe's elite competition next time round. With that in mind, they're not going to want to be too gung-ho and too, free-form in Germany, which I feel they're going to sort of bring down the shutters and just kind of protect with what they've got. And with them having so many neat attacking players that they've had already and added to across January, it's all the kind of pieces of the jigsaw can't quite fit together at the moment, and they just have got a chronic lack of goals. Now, Borussia Dortmund have kind of found themselves in the last few weeks after a sluggish start, which is always going to happen after the void of Erling Haaland. You can't replace him, so all you can do is evolve and adapt. And the first few weeks, maybe even months of the season, they certainly were struggling. They have found their feet in the last few weeks, and they are back in the Bundesliga title race. Again, they're probably going to just miss out to Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich have that extra quality. But I think it's just going to be an interesting time between the two. And I just feel that, I mentioned in the last episode between Bayern Munich and PSG, or PSG Bayern Munich, that neither team will want to go out the tie, usually. But in that instance, they're going to be sort of fast as lightning. First goal, that'll set the tempo. I think in this one, both teams will just look to be in the tie for the second round, or the second meeting between the two, because you have to remember that away goals rule, which was a rule a couple of years back, and for, its history of the Champions League, is no longer in effect. So the away team doesn't have that advantage, and they can not necessarily have to sort of try and edge out that goal. They can just sort of sit back and think, right, okay, well, 0-0's not the worst result by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't think it'll come to that, but I do feel that the two teams will cancel each other out. But then again, that opens up so many scores, 1-1, 2-2. I think 3-3 might be a push, but if you just go for the tie, it does allow goals either side. But even with that said, I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, but I'm going to go for the stalemate.
I can see it. I can. I think if your logic is correct here, I would actually also love to be able to then, just looking ahead, I think there is a game of just sort of some more zany insanity to occur for these two teams, just in the sense that, while Chelsea, they sort of play a lot more, obviously, conservative, we know, with all those players stacking the back and whatnot. At the same time, Borussia Dortmund's just played some really fun games lately. I'm kind of just really thinking about Gio Reyna and his ability to come on and score a goal as he has in like 3 games in a row. Not that they even needed a couple of them, but there's been some fun games for Borussia Dortmund. It's just Chelsea's been a little bit more, easy to predict that it's going to be lower scoring, to your point. And I do love the logic around the idea that without the away away team really needing to press anymore to press and get goals. You can sit back and play, as slow as Chelsea is like to play in this game. So we know, we're keeping the game close here. Are you saying you do like less goals then, or where would you put the total, which right now sits at what I believe over 2.5 is -120, under -105. So they're expecting somewhere around 2 goals, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd take the under in terms of the that market, but I'd also take a half-time 0-0 tie. That obviously opens up a few more possibilities after the break, but if we go back to that kind of not wanting to lose, not wanting to cede early advantage, not wanting to be out of the tie within 45 minutes, just a rather kind of sensible approach for both teams in the first 45, I feel that no goals might be the best way to look at that. That's plus 190, but I'm not committing to the 0-0 after 90 because that's as much as plus 950. I think that's too big a stretch, but that still allows a 1-1 draw in the second half. There's still time for goals because you do feel that sometimes the game will open up, which comes with tiredness and a bit more bravery. So I just feel that these two teams haven't played European competition for a couple of months. It's going to be a bit of a feeling out process as well. And although Borussia Dortmund have got goals, Chelsea have sorted their defence, and I feel that the 0-0 draw would be brilliant for them at half time because then manager Graham Potter can decide, okay, well, do I take this or do I decide to roll the dice in the last 30 minutes or so on and so forth? So there's no need to panic. If this gets to 0-0, he can just kind of edge his way into the game and then see what he can take back to London in a week or two time.
And I think that's what they want. Yeah, more than anything, Chelsea's just going to look to do that. Maybe Borussia Dortmund presses from that sense. Maybe they know that they're a lot less likely to win once they get back to London, and Chelsea has their home field advantage, a historic home field advantage, right? Maybe there is something to the fact that Borussia Dortmund's trying to press a little bit, but I think either way, we know that the game plan, as you said, for Chelsea, especially that halftime, is he's got so many options. Potter at that point does what he wants to do, knowing that he's able to sort of keep this game in their control and play at the pace that they want to play at. So any love? I don't think there is even a Gio Reyna market without him starting, right? So I don't know that we can necessarily bet on him in this Champions League to score a game until he's in the starting lineup. But more on that to come for you Americans. Let's finish the day here, Dan, and move on to the last game, which features two teams that I don't think maybe you could have predicted that one or two of even both of them would come out of the group, but not that they would be playing each other by one of them winning said group, right? And at this point, I think it's still a pretty, it's a pretty big favorite here for Benfica at this point, and the Portuguese team taking on these Belgians from Bruges. So start off with what you like as your first bet in this game. Right after I just tell everyone, Bruges is plus 280 to win in regulation, and Benfica is minus 105 there. Pretty hefty favorites considering, and then the draw is plus 260 as well.
Okay, then. So as you mentioned, Benfica are on minus odds for them to win in 90 minutes. So that's not too attractive, which means I'm going to half their capability of winning and go for the half-time win at plus 155, which is much more appealing. I feel that, yes, they've lost Enzo Fernandez in the past couple of weeks, but Benfica's model is that they pluck a star from, a name from South America, turn him into a star, sell him for big money, rinse, repeat, and the conveyor belt just keeps going on. So although they've lost Fernandez, they have still got Gonçalo Ramos, who was the Portuguese hero, shall we say, in the World Cup, and he's going to be probably the next man to move on. So they've lost a name, but Benfica just adapt and they move on. So although Club Brugge did fantastic to get to this stage of the competition, and the draw is probably as favourable as it can be, because let's be honest, both teams are looking at this and thinking, well, actually, we're in with a chance of hitting the last 8 here. It couldn't have gone any better for either side. But I just feel that Benfica, considering they've got out of a group which involved both PSG and Juventus, and they really surprised a lot of people, not by qualifying, but by finishing top, and they really have got that kind of extra prowess about them. So I just feel that when you look at over 90 minutes, I'm not in a rush to back Benfica, because there's still things that could go wrong in a Champions League tie, and at minus odds for an away win, I'm not having that. But half time, 45 minutes, they could go 2-0 up, still draw 2-2, but you've got a winning bet there, or 1-0, vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I think why not get your early profit in and not worry about the full-time outcome?
Yeah, I can see that. I think there's something to that. I'm happy to honestly, start looking at Benfica kind of winning big as well. I agree that the minus 105 for them to win in regulation doesn't really do it for me. I think knowing anything that I know about Belgian football, being an Anderlecht fan as I am, they are just happy to have the money, man. Like they just got a ton of money by qualifying just to the round of 16, and I don't think they expected to be quite here. They really needed to rely on Atletico Madrid just completely crumbling throughout the entirety of the group stage to help them get through. And Benfica, to their credit, played obviously Juventus. We wanted a lot more from them, but they look really solid as well, and I think they have a lot more optimism about what they could do with the rest of this tournament versus this Belgian team in Bruges. So, is there some other bet that you're looking at? Maybe a big win in some way for Benfica. I know sometimes you like the group scoring or potentially a correct score or something to that nature.
Yeah, correct score is what I'm going to go for in this instance. So I don't see it being a big win because they're away from home, but I do see it being a routine win, which is why I picked the 2-0 away win for the Portuguese outfit at plus 700. So, I feel that's a great bit of value, really. You could slim it down a little bit and say a win to nil at plus 250, which would give you the 1-0 win as well. But why not go a bit bolder? Because I don't see Club Brugge getting a goal, and I feel Benfica have got enough about them to set themselves up nicely for this second leg and sort of put one foot into the last eight already. So just a simple bet. It might not come off, but correct score bets always offer a little bit more in terms of value. They're easy to place, they're more difficult to win, but I'm confident with this one. So Club Brugge, again, they did well to get this far, so we shouldn't be too dismissive of them, but I just feel that Benfica are going to have this one more than wrapped up. So I'll take the 2-0 win. I won't be greedy. 2-0 win, 700.
I don't know. I would say that's still a little bit greedy. I'm going to tail you as I do, but I'm going to do it with putting a bit more units on Benfica to win to nil in a shutout rather than just need the plus 700. But maybe I'll put a little bit on the exact score with you as well, as I like to ride with my guys. So that is all the time we have for you in this February 15th day's worth of games here in the Champions League. Make sure to like and subscribe to the page, though. We're bringing you each and every day's worth of games for the rest of this tournament. So until we see you next, happy betting.